here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are, and I'm not going to disclose where we are, because that's secret information. Some would say top secret, but it's neither here nor there. But what we are welcoming you to, I think is going to be one of our most helpful series, if I'm being honest, which is, this is going to be a 5-part series on weapon-mounted lights. Really specific to rifles, even though with some degree of exception, some of them could become pistol lights as well. But yeah, really, it's going to be a 5-part series on weapon lights, and we're going to go through 5 different companies. Some of those companies will have a couple different lights represented, if you will, but the series is, well, I'm not going to tell you all the companies that are included, because that's how we keep you on the hook to stick around. Gotcha.
It'll be in the description. It's okay.
Yeah, so everyone relax. This will be part 1, and we'll work our way through, and I actually think people are going to get a lot out of this. I've actually enjoyed this quite a bit. It's about 11 p.m. on a Friday right now, so
Exactly 11. Good job.
intuitive.
Nailed it.
Before we jump all into that good stuff, a couple quick things. If you are here, which you are, isn't that kind of assumptive?
Clearly.
You should probably subscribe and leave comments. You can call myself or Chris, whatever you would like in the comments. We don't really care, because algorithms, they don't give no shits about that, right? They just care that you comment. So have at it. Have at it. You can give us your money at the 1911 Syndicate Patreon page. There's a few different tiers. You mostly do it because you find us to be charming, and we bring entertainment and education to you and your family and your children's lives. So we'll have a link in the description for that. And then last but not least, behind all of this, it's gonna not make sense if you're new here, but we're actually a real estate company. So most of our clients are like military, law enforcement, shooters, hunters, all that kind of shit. So you can go to 1911syndicate.com, check out all the different places that we operate. I am in Utah, that's where we are now. Chris is in Arizona, and we're in a lot of different places. So go check that out. Let us know if you need any help. Okay.
First off,
so Inforce, and our little disclosure thing on this, these are no lights anywhere in this series.
we're donated, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Every single one of these lights was purchased.
With our own money.
Yeah.
Which we're doing how many lights? 2, 4, 6, 11?
10, 11, something like that, yeah.
Guys, that's a lot of money in lights. So you're welcome.
It's accumulated over time, but yeah.
It's still money, man.
Yeah, it's still money. So with Inforce, hey, look, we paid for all these, so there you go. There's that. Pretty simple. So the Inforce, so it's the WML is the model, if you will. It is the white Gen 2, if you want to get very specific. WML is going to stand for
Weapon mounted light.
Correct, sir.
Boom.
With each of these different companies and lights, we basically ran them through a series of standardized tests. We will show you some footage of that if we have not already done so.
There will be more to come if you've seen footage already anyways.
Yeah, so just know that we put all these through basically the same paces. Yeah, good sound. Good mechanical noises.
Ooh.
Know how to ride in the yards.
I hit the target, bitch.
So that's my hit. All right, first thing as an observation, the Inforce pressure pad with gloves is difficult.
Difficult with my regular hand and support hand.
Yeah,
100%.
It's you have a fairly small surface area, and I mean it's just less tactile with gloves. This is at 50. So you can PID a target with these at 50. Keeping in mind, this is not a super powerful light. 50, we're good.
Yep.
Let's bump it to 100. Take you through a little bit of a tour on this bad boy. This is going to be pretty much the weakest of the lights, but also the most budget friendly. So
you pay for what you get. And also, weak is not Inforce. Don't get mad at us if Inforce watches this. It's not a negative thing. It's just You guys will see as we ramp this up, different lights, different power, candela, throw, all that kind of stuff, which we will get into and describe which one of those things mean if you don't know.
Yeah, so WML, so here's what these bad boys look like. I will tell you from a personal perspective, I run these on AKs. Largely because with AKs for me,
I was wondering your like logic behind that.
Yeah, here's what it is I don't have a hand guard that, like, you'll notice that's wood. That's wood. I've got another AK.
This one looks like a dick.
It's a dong, my friend, and that's Romanian, so Romanian dog. There's really nowhere to put lights in a traditional fashion on an M-lock rail or something like that with pressure pads and all that. So look, I'm limited on rail space, especially on a little shorty 10-inch gun like this. So typically I'm running a optic, so I'm just running a red dot, and then I kind of like the weapon mounted lights from Inforce because look, all I'm trying to do is get my support hand to be able to actuate that light, and you'll notice one thing that we will wind up talking about, which is maybe our battery's dead. Nope.
No, it's the gloves, dude.
With gloves, these pressure pads do get a little bit tough to deal with. But just know that's what I run these on is AKs. I personally would probably not be running these on ARs. That's just me. Power-wise, you want to hit them with it?
Yeah, power-wise. So 400 lumens, which is not a lot.
It's not a lot, and what you got to keep in mind, and so there's lumens and there's candela, okay? And we're covering kind of some basics at the beginning of this series. They are different things. You should go to Google and learn about what those things are. I don't give a fuck about teaching you the difference in lumens and candela. You're on the wrong channel if you're looking for science. This isn't the place for science, kids.
No, entertainment. So 400 lumens, 4,000 candela.
Which, as we get into some of the big boy lights,
yeah,
4,000 candela is going to seem like a very low number.
Yeah, it exponentially gets bigger, which, again, if I was smart, I'd know what those mean, or I could Google it. You guys Google it, okay?
Yeah.
These all, for the most part, most of the lights you're going to see will run off standard CR123As. There's some variations in there. There's some exceptions, which we'll get to.
These guys are running on 123s.
Correct, which I was getting to. These are running on 123As. They have an hour and a half total runtime, so if you leave it on, which means you'd have to hold that button for an hour and a half.
Important point coming on that, yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. They have an integrated pressure pad, which is nice.
There's this
as far as power, there's the little bar that you can flip up on these, which
like
is
this
nice.
little latch thing that's at the back here. We're just giving you a quick tour. We'll get into like how do they actually perform, all that kind of stuff. Just giving you quick hits on stats here. This little latch thing that's on the back, it is actually a pretty cool little thing because it's going to prevent you from being able to activate this. So if you're traveling or you got it in a Pelican case or something like that, flip that little latch up.
Or to prevent a white light ND, which happens often.
Yeah.
And we actually were talking to a guy. There's a little caveat, little splinter off of these. It's cool these are integrated for the simple reason, I know a couple guys that wouldn't run pressure pads overseas.
Because of that?
Because they would short out, and one of the guys that we actually both know.
Yeah,
was working overseas doing some stuff, military, and they're like walking up to an objective, and his team leader comes up and he's like, hey, your white light NDing this entire time, fix your shit. And so he just like ripped it off, and then they went on, right?
Yeah. And so he runs basically tail caps on, basically started running tail caps on everything.
Yep, just because the circuitry in there will mess up and do a white light ND. But that's what that bar prevents, is a potential white light ND. Yep. And if it gets in a Pelican, it's not just running the whole time.
So all mine are the single battery versions. They're, the equivalent of like a micro or mini version.
Correct.
There's a 2 battery version that is a little bit bigger. I don't have that, so I'm really not commenting on it. I'm just telling you, hey, look, 2 battery version, 800 lumens, so it is a bit more powerful there.
For 2 batteries, though, I would have expected more.
Yeah, but again, I mean, as we're going to see, the lumen thing is really not it's not really the number.
Yeah.
It really does kind of get interesting. But the latest gens do have momentary and constant on, and a strobe, which
why?
I'm not into the strobe thing. Like, I understand it to disorient, but it seems like you're going to fuck yourself up at the same time.
I'm going to argue that.
Yeah.
Can we do that right now?
Sure.
Okay. So I was talking to Brucey over at Haley Strategic about that, and they found with all the science that they do that strobe is not effective because yes, it disorients the target, but your eyes don't have enough time to pick up what that target's doing in between the strobe.
Oh, interesting.
So they found in between the strobe, that guy could go to start to draw a gun or whatever the case may be, and you might accidentally shoot someone.
Yeah.
Which is, I was like, dude, your eyes can pick that up fast enough. He's like, oh yeah, dude, we found major disadvantages to strobe.
Interesting. Well, they get into like
The nitty gritty with it.
yeah, I mean they get into eye saccades and all kinds of stuff at Haley classes. It's fun. I mean it's kind of a science nerd class at the same time. I mean that in a nice way.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah.
But a lot of it I'm just too dumb to understand. On the latest gens, they do have a little bit of texture on the pressure pad. That is something that these are missing, and it does make a difference. We'll kind of circle around to that. Cost is going to be something we do on all these different lights because what we're really looking at, okay, so let's break this down very logically, right? So on lights, you're going to have 4 real components here. If you're an old pro at weapon lights, you're like, yeah, dude, I get it, but not everyone is an old pro. So let's bring new people maybe in and teach them a little bit of stuff. So
some new pros.
4 components to, rifle lights in particular. So you're gonna have the light itself, the light head, light body, right? That's what I would call the light itself. You're gonna have a tail cap, right? You're gonna have a mount, and you're also, in most of our cases, you're gonna have some sort of a pressure switch. So these are really your 4 main components. So what we're looking at in cost is, say, with each of these different manufacturers and lights, what would it cost if you're factoring in like an even playing field across these, like trying to streamline your tail caps, looking at different pressure switches. Mounts are kind of universally around $50 for the most part. So we're just gonna kind of give you numbers on what it costs to build these out. Inforce is gonna be the most economical, okay? Because the light, so the way the light is, the light, the pressure switch, and the tail cap, which really doesn't exist, all come with the light, if you will. So really all you need is a mount, working it with your thumb, and then there you go.
Cool.
But the most economical, the light itself, $115, which is very well priced.
Not bad.
Not at all. So all that you need to get at that point is a mount, which, hey, look, this one, people always ask me, what are these mounts? This one was really nothing particularly notable. There's literally not even a logo on it, probably from China for all I know.
Arisaka makes 45 mounts.
Haley
PCM does. Haley does. There's a bunch out there.
I think this one might have been.
Like a brand name one?
Nope, it's not.
Okay.
It is not.
It's okay.
But yeah, I know Haley has one because I have it on a different system. So anyway, so I mean, really, all in, you're looking between everything you're looking at them. Each of these, you're looking at about $165, which is pretty significantly by a like it's pretty significant. Like it's by a big margin. It's going to be the cheapest light, but there's going to be pros and cons to that. Let's talk a little like some of those tests that we were running. How thoughts.
So some of the tests, we ran all these lights through the same test. So we'd have like a baseline to run off of, right? One of them was simple, 50-yard engagements just on steel targets. Again, it's nighttime, which is obviously why we would film a light series is at night because that's when you're going to use it, right? We pushed it back to 100 yards then to see if we could PID, positively identify the target. And make hits, whether that was a target on the left, target to the right, string of different, they would call threats, however they called it. We then went to, we would compare the lights side by side to show spill and all that stuff, which you'll see more in other lights, but just again, giving you the rundown of these. We also, something kind of cool that Jake came up with that I thought was interesting, maybe not so much for civilians, but cops looking at lights.
Yeah, you can say I'm a genius, that's fine.
Wouldn't go that far. But we worked on coming up to a vehicle and seeing which light would punch through the vehicle the best as far as the windows. And you guys will see in this, tint is a major factor. This light wouldn't punch through any of the tint that was on Jake's truck. It would go through any of the windows with no tint, obviously, just fine. Coming in through the vehicle, like if the vehicle is turned on so headlights are on, this would have just enough power to go basically, I guess, through the light that's
Yeah, it's
coming
pretty
towards
solid.
you, so you can see what's in the cab. On the reverse of that, if you're in the cab, this has enough power to punch through the window, so you could PID stuff at about 25 yards from the cab. Anything past that, there's just not enough power in that light to get through the glass and that space.
I think beyond 50, I think you're going to start to stretch.
Yeah, major stretch.
I mean,
for
at
these.
100, no shot.
Yep.
No shot at getting hits at 100. And you got to keep in mind, honestly, when you're looking at some of the footage of us shooting at 100 yards, it's cold as shit. So, like, if some of the hits are slight, one, I mean, it's not super easy to light up a target and engage it at 100 yards, period. But, like, it's cold as shit, and it's like, you know, that does not help anything on our shooting ability out here tonight.
Yeah. And the last thing with all these, and you're going to see it in the video and the footage and all that stuff, is gloves with pressure pads are a nightmare.
Yeah, this
So,
was really tough with gloves.
very, very difficult. The reason why is it's just hard to get your finger and feel the grooves and textures of this light to positively identify where that pad is. Even while looking at it with a light, it's still a little difficult texture-wise to push that button.
Yeah, you know, these are kind of, I don't know when my volume went up and then it came back down there. So
Okay,
I don't know.
you're
what
excited.
that, you know,
Yeah, you're excited.
I get amped up. But some of this I like, some of it I don't. So the back of the light is kind of ergonomic in the way that it essentially like molds to the way
Yeah.
that your thumb is.
I agree.
Right? That's kind
Thumbs up,
of
kids.
the way that the shape of the back of the light is. The problem with that is there's not a lot of tactile, like, I feel exactly where I'm supposed to push. So, I mean, right now, like when I push, like I'm pushing right now, the light is not on. If I come back a little bit and I push, now we come on. But it's a pretty stiff thing. Like, yeah, I'm essentially having to use like the tip of my thumb versus the actual shape of that thumb, which is what the pressure pad is.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Does that have to do with those weak pussy thumbs, or?
I don't have weak pussy. People like to think that I have weak. I have
Okay.
strong pussy. I have strong pussy thumbs. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing that is threw out there, but
I don't think it's a good thing.
well, we don't really know. But you know, the pressure pad is a bit tough on these, so that would be a con. I think if you're looking at these, a lot of it depends on your use. To go, hey, look, am I a recreational shooter that's going out to the range here and there, which would mean you're going out in low light, no light conditions rarely. So it's like, what is the use of this? Is it to occasionally go out and fuck around and shoot outside at night? Or like, is this a duty gun? If that's a duty gun, honestly, I'm a little concerned about the durability of it. I'm not actually saying that it's not durable. I'm saying my hunch is that it's probably not going to hold up as good as some of the other stuff.
Agreed.
Like some, you know, a lot of these lights, they say it's fully potted. Basically, they like kind of reinforce the interiors that way from recoil and muzzle blast and stuff like that. All the internals actually stay solid. I'm not saying these aren't. I'm saying I don't know. I don't remember that being advertised like a lot of the other, you know, Surefires and things like that. Durability would be a little bit of a question for me.
That, like, I don't know, man. It just, you know, I've known a couple guys personally that were like sponsored by Inforce and would say stuff like I'd put it on a duty gun or I'd deploy with it. And I've always had an issue with that. Look, Inforce, this isn't a knock against you guys. Don't get mad at us, but like,
I consider it a budget light.
it's a budget light, and you pay for what you get. Now there is some budget.
It's actually
stuff
the
that's
opposite of what
great.
you just said. You get what you pay for, but
Yeah, well, same thing. You pay for what you get. Cheaper light, you get cheaper performance. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
We're saying the same thing.
most of America is going to agree with my statement, though.
False.
Versus yours.
False.
Yeah, we'll take a poll.
In the comments. Anyways, man, you threw off my whole. I totally forgot what
Saying
I was
that people would deploy with it.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. And again, I've never deployed, never in the military, never did shit. But I wouldn't trust my life to that. I wouldn't trust my wife's life to that for a home defense gun. Again, I get that guys probably have good experiences with them. Look, man, once we get to some of the other lights, I'll get into some stories about the other lights that I personally know, and we'll go from there. But my Inforces did the ghost drain too, which they fixed in these new ones. Have you heard of that?
No.
It will drain the battery without you using it. So like I had one of these, I had one of the pistol and one of the handheld Gen 1s.
Huh. Okay.
Even without using it, that battery sometimes will die. It just ghost drains it. They acknowledged it was an issue. It has to do with the circuitry. they fixed it, and these ones, they don't have that issue anymore.
So I haven't had that on any of mine.
Yeah.
And frankly, mine are not the latest, greatest. Like, they're still relevant, but the newest ones, like I said, they'll go constant on. Mine are only momentary. So, mine are a little bit dated. I've never had that issue, which is good. So it's not, I'm saying that so you don't think it's like every older one has that. Like, mine haven't. I mean, there are some, look, overall pros and cons for me. You go, cons, look, output, clearly. It just doesn't have the output. It doesn't have enough power to do like heavy work. I would question the durability. But the pros are there, which is, hey, look, if I needed to take this off a rifle, hypothetically, where it's like, look, I just need a light right now to like go and do stuff. Take this off real quick and just operate it as a handheld.
Yeah,
right?
no
So
tools
it's like,
or anything.
So, like, look, it's cool for that. It has a tiny footprint. So if you need on a sub gun or something like that, a tiny footprint, cool. It's going to check that box. I think cost is a big one. If you're like, hey, look, I'm kind of just getting into this. I'm not trying to drop 500, which I know right now a lot of people are going like, yo, none of those lights cost $500. Okay.
Wait.
Cool. Basically, all of them do after this. So, like, if you're like, dude, I'm not trying to drop a fortune on a light and I'm kind of new shooter, look, like I said, $150-ish, and you're ready to rock. So I do think it has a place for that.
Yeah. Other than that, I have heard some rumblings that they may be coming out with an aluminum body one.
That's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
I've
heard rumblings from several people. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard it from several people that I trust that they are kind of redoing them for a metal housed.
I would like to see that, and I would also like to see it run on a rechargeable battery.
Yeah.
They can get some more power, and by default, they're probably also going to need a different head. Basically, they'd have to just redesign the light.
Which, at this point, let's do it, because it is a cool design. It's very minimal. I do dig it, but I wouldn't trust my life to it. So
look, I actually like them. I have 3 of them. They're all in AK, so it's a bit of a niche platform product for me, but it's like, I do actually like them. Is it my favorite light? No. It does what I need it to do on the platform that I have it on. So
fair enough.
There's that. So that's pretty much it for Inforce.
Cool.
I'd say a little bit of a mixed bag. For me, look, it's a lot of pros. You just have to know that, like, look, the pros, a lot of it centers around cost. Because it's the cheapest of everything that we're going to talk about, it does have cons. It's just not as good of a product, but you're paying about a third of the price of some of the other products. So
4th and even 5th of some of the others.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that.
Cool.
Pretty much,
anything else?
Pretty much that. That's part 1.
Stay safe, kids.
That's part 1. Stay safe. Do your thing.